Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake, this is Nadia, this is Buddy, this is Sedona, and Babu Boy is downstairs somewhere, and today we are talking about Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods.
Oh man, where do I start?
Did you like it? I mean, we haven't talked about it, so...
Okay, so the first time I saw Shazam, I was really excited because I'm a big fan of Chuck. And so
We
when
like
I
Chuck,
heard
yeah.
the main character is going to be Zachary Levi, then I was ecstatic. And I was like, I have to check this out. We checked it out and we were like, what the heck? It disappointed us because we felt like the main character...
No, we liked the first one. It was fine.
No, we thought there was like the acting individually, I think we were okay with it, but we thought that the kid actor seemed really mature.
They either miscast the kid or the adult.
The adult actor, Zachary Levi, he seemed too childish, and it just kind of felt like we were looking at two different people.
It never felt like it was the same person growing up.
So it just kind of tucked me off. I feel like this one is a lot more leveled in that sense, mainly because they don't show the kid actor very much.
That was the only thing. They had him in it like barely at all, but whenever Zachary Levi was on screen, it just felt like, who is this person? Like,
but I also felt like that was the same characteristic portrayed by the other Shazam characters, because obviously this is non-spoiler. In the trailer, you'll see like five all the family at the end of Shazam, 5 or 6 different.
The family.
I can't remember the count. They have the same foster mom and dad, and they're all portraying like very childlike characteristics. That's more like aloof and doesn't really. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It feels like it's a kids movie sometimes.
This felt
and doesn't
even more
really
so
feel like
first,
it's really targeted towards me. I thought it was much better than the first one in the sense that...
What?
Okay, hold on.
Hold
on. I thought it was worse off in the beginning and the middle, but I thought the ending was much better because Zachary Levi at the end kind of saved himself from being a 1 rating in my eyes, because I thought his acting in the last like maybe 20 minutes was really well done. And I really liked the storyline in that. Not all of the last 20 minutes, but I liked his part.
I thought the ending was horrible.
I thought the whole movie was bad except for the last 20 minutes. So therefore, I would rate this a solid 3.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
That's pretty low for you.
Well, I was going to rate it a 1 if it wasn't for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can get into that.
I felt like I was so exhausted and tired of the film. And then when I saw the last 20 minutes, I was like, this last 20 minutes might make the miserable hour and 40 minutes that I have been here almost worth it. But it wasn't even like, it didn't feel like worth it. Like if I would watch it again, no, I wouldn't.
It was hard to sit through. It was very, very formulaic, more so than the first one. I think what made the first one work was a kid having superpowers, and it's fun, The one down, like it was a light, fun movie, the first one. The only thing that bothered me was the difference between the boy Shazam character and then when he's Shazam. It's hard for me because I really like him in Chuck. I think he has great comedic timing in that show, but I think this movie proves it. He's so miscast for this role.
I don't know if it's miscast or misdirection, because look at the other actors. They all act alike.
Well, that's maybe the writing or something. I don't know, but like the kid version is very compelling. Whenever the kid version of him was on screen, there was a lot of emotion because you're like, oh wow, he is a kid. But for most of the movie, the characters are their adult selves. I think about the best movie to have like a kid turned into an adult. The best performance, I think, is Tom Hanks' performance in Big. And I do think that Zachary Levi probably was thinking about that performance, that kind of childlike innocence. But the kid he's playing is kind of like a hardened teenager. He's not like a boy. And the way he plays it is so hard. And I just feel like there's so much cringy dialogue. Like, he is a charisma black hole in this movie. It was hard to watch. Anytime he wasn't on screen, it was like somewhat better. But anytime Zachary Levi was on screen, and I get part of his character arc was to be like unlikable. He has to learn something in this story. Like, he's too controlling. Oh my God. If he says fam one more time or any kind of Gen Z
that's what I mean. It's
language,
not the
It
actor.
is so hard. No, it is part of the performance.
But it's not, because I think he's facilitating his acting to the writing. Like, how else would you say those lines?
The thing is, though, he was playing it like he was on stage almost. Like, it was so big, and
but think
everything
about
else
like
was a little more...
Megan Good's character, for example. I felt like her character was the female version of Zachary Levi's character. She also was very like aloof, very
But
much.
she
like,
was playing her child version was much younger, like a little girl.
It was way too young to be portrayed that way. The child was not that old for her to portray it that way. It kind of felt like mindless to me.
There were performance problems, I think.
I felt like the only character who I felt like was a relief for me, and why I thought it was like I liked this movie a little better, was also because of Freddie. I felt like both of the actors, the younger version and the adult version, were actually like an example of what the other characters should have acted like, because they were like very much making dumb choices, like because they're teenagers, right? They're obviously, like when you're a kid, you make choices or like that you're gonna regret later. That's very normal. I have made a lot myself. I also felt like they weren't like overacting, because every other character almost felt like they forgot what it was like to be a kid.
Yeah.
And they were trying to compensate for that by overacting.
Yes.
Like children.
Yes.
Except for
They weren't
Freddy's.
acting like they were playing characters. They were acting like they were playing children, just in general.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like a little annoying for me.
So annoying.
Yeah, except for Freddy. I never felt like he
Freddy was the most interesting and best character, even though I didn't really like his romance story with West Side Story girl.
No. But like what I'm trying to say is that I don't know if it's actors as much as it is characters, because I also felt like he had a very good in-depth like arc, whereas Zachary Levi, and we could get into the spoiler section, and other family of Shazam, there was barely any arc, and they were very, very, very much overacting, trying to be a children. It's like they forgot they're too much of an adult to
the whole movie.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. The performances, but also the whole movie, it felt very 2005 superhero, very much
Disney like.
Well, but it had the
channel.
same problem, and it's funny because Black Adam is a character in the Shazam comics, but they have separate movies. But the movies felt so similar in tone, in that, Black Adam has these generic villain monster spawning at the end of the movie that has to be stopped, just like in this movie. So, there's just very formulaic superhero template here. Annoying MacGuffin that could destroy the world that they have to get, and eventually the movie just becomes that. The actual interesting and lovely stuff about the first one, the dynamics of the kids and the family, the relationships, those are so sidelined in the story that it just feels like it's about this mythology stuff and whatever. And the ending was just unbearable in how it was just pandering to fan service, I thought. We can get into that in spoilers.
I honestly felt like I was nothing a lot like Black Adam, except for the fact that they're both given power by these wizards. Like, it's the same universe, obviously, and it's very... But I didn't feel like it was the same thing, because Black Adam is an anti-hero, and these characters in this film were upcoming hero, like an aspiring hero, because they're kids trying to make their mark, whereas Black Adam already had made his mark, right? He's a legend. What would you rate it?
Probably the same as you, like 3 out of 10.
Wow, okay.
3 or 4. I thought that if you like the first...
More than me?
Well, I just think it's passable as a movie.
What day is it?
If you can stand the performances and it's very like kid friendly, I thought. If you can stand that and the really cringy constant quips and humor that was just endless, if you can stand that, it's a fine generic superhero movie. It's not the worst movie ever made. It's not incompetent. Like, there were some clear like stylistic stuff going on, like with the directing, with certain scenes, very Raimi-esque in some ways, I thought.
That's a good point.
The director was paying some attention to like the extras and the screams and the monsters and the way the camera moves, so there was some of that there that I liked to see. But I swear to everything that I liked, anytime Zachary Levi came on screen, I was just like...
I will say, I do remember that.
And I love Chuck so much. Yeah. So it's like...
Well, I remember that. I was like, I remember feeling annoyed watching the film, but then thinking, ooh, this shot is pretty cool. How they made like worlds kind of merge together, or like this very...
Yeah, there was some good...
This is a very seamless transition to this other scene. So I thought the directing was really well done.
Well, like like that opening, the museum opening stuff.
I might take my rating up to a 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's some like good effort put in. Like I know like people like the director David F. Sandberg because he like started out in horror and he has like a YouTube channel. People like how he's very upfront about the process of making movies and whatever. So I think that's cool. But you know, I do think that there was some effort put into it. I just think at the end of the day, it just got ground up in the superhero machine. It just feels so generic and bland.
Recommend it?
No. Do you want to talk spoilers?
Let's do 1, 2,
3.
3. Spoilers.
Shazam dies.
He does not.
Well,
he does not.
Temporarily.
But did you taste the rainbow? Did you feel the rainbow?
Oh my God. Don't even get me started. The Skittles.
I thought it was funny though. I did laugh and I remember hearing you laugh.
It's one of those, well, I was laughing because I was like, are we really doing it? Like, because it's kind of like, you know, it's a product placement, but the movie kind of acts like we're playing into it. Like we're not hiding from the product placement. We're going to put it into our story. You know?
I will say, I thought it was funny the first time when she, the little girl's character, like gives Skittles to the horse that was created by the garden. This movie really overused a lot of jokes, you know,
Yes.
and this is an example of that for me where she said like, feel the rainbow, taste the rainbow or something like that. I thought it was funny the first time. And then she kept doing it. And then I was like, okay, we get it. Like,
well, and just like generic Marvel movies, you know, this is DC, but it feels like a Marvel movie in the same way where every scene has a quip and dialogue, and it's not taking, no characters are taking anything seriously at any point. Except for the climax, you know, but well, so it loses weight.
And I think that like that's the problem overall is that these kids, the genesis of them is that they're foster kids, they've all been through something. I understand like they could still have personalities obviously and be humorous, but I would think like when you've been through some real trauma, which is established especially by like Zachary Levi's character in the beginning, it's interesting the way that no one except for the older foster sister in the family, they don't really take things as seriously as they would have otherwise. And it feels like, I just feel like it just doesn't do justice because in the first film we see so much emotions out of like, again, the kid character of Shazam, right? And he's crying so much with his mom and dealing with these issues, and I would have really liked for some of those emotions to be here. It's almost like, yeah, I'm cool now, I'm just gonna suppress everything, which I mean is definitely a method of dealing with trauma, but it's also very out of character from what was portrayed in the last film because the kid actor was so full of emotion and so full of just, you could just see it in his eyes. And I honestly felt like I wish that Zachary, he adjusted his character a little bit more.
Yeah.
That played the younger him.
But then again, all his dialogue was just so corny, just like cringy, like fam and all the Gen Z just like trying to, like, I don't know what they were going for. Like, he just can't pull it off, you know?
I think a lot of times, like, older writers, they try to pull off, like, younger characters. And I mean, I understand to some extent, but I think they overplay on, like, very, like, stereotypical.
Yeah, it was just a big
generational, like, quirks, you know. They certainly have done that with millennials, and now they're doing that with like older millennials, and they're definitely doing that with Gen Z, you know. The writing just hits the same jokes over and over again, and it's just really easy for you to be desensitized to the joke. It doesn't really work anymore, you know, and it would be good for it to have a little bit more arc, a little bit more flexibility. The reason why I said that I really like the last 20 minutes, I would say not last 20 minutes, because after this scene was over, and this is when Zachary Shazam, he creates a force, or he asks for help for one of the goddesses, and then gets the force field to be really isolated between him and the villain, like tries to overpower the battery, the wizard, I forget the word, but the staff, exactly, thank you. He's really like heroic in that moment, and there's a lot of risks involved. Obviously that was
great, yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to like, because I didn't look up like the future of Shazam before I watched it. I didn't know like if he was going to be killed, because I know DC is reinventing their characters. So I didn't know if they were going to do something like, okay, this is like the big sacrifice that he's going to do and really go really dark and deep. But I really felt like him showing that he's going to give up everything for his family that he's created was amazing, like, to watch. And I thought like the direction of it, it was very picturesque in my opinion, but it lasted maybe like not even 20 minutes. Maybe I'm over exaggerating, maybe like 15 minutes or something like that. But I really felt that scene. I really felt the acting in that scene. But
that was fun. Well, and it was good when he's like, the mom is like, let me see you as I know you, like the boy version. And like they hug, and it's an emotional scene, and that's great. Exactly. And all. It's like, because the movie finally starting to take something seriously in that moment. Exactly. There's finally some stakes. The whole movie, we have these villains that we don't really care about. It's generic threat.
That's like, great that you said that. That's exactly it. There's no stakes. It feels like there's no stakes. I mean, there's obviously a lot of stakes, but the characters are portraying it as if there's no stakes.
Well, and for most of it, the threat is they want their powers back, because they shouldn't be having those powers because they're kids. Yeah, I mean, like, why do they need the powers? Like, the people in the city hate them. Like, they're not really doing a good job. To me, it just felt like they're trying to prove that they can be heroes. But, like, they aren't even that interested in doing it, except for Billy, Zachary Levi. He's the only one really interested in doing it. So it just feels like, what's the point of all of this? And
they just want to be cool.
They just want to be cool or whatever. And then at the end, he finally proves himself as a hero. But I just like the dying scene. Like, if you kill a character, just like don't bring him back in the next scene, which is exactly what they did. And if you're going to do it, you got to be really careful, because that's a card you can only play like once. And it was so hard to watch when maybe this was like a late reshoot or something, when Wonder Woman comes out of nowhere. She hasn't been in this movie, has no connection to this movie, and is just shows up.
That like Billy has a crush on her.
Yeah, they established that, but like she shows up and he appears, and of course he dies as the boy version. He wakes up as Shazam, comes up out of the thing, and they have a quick hug, but it's like all the emotion we had connected to the boy version, and he gave a good performance. There's like tears and everything. Then when he reappears as Shazam, you're just kind of like, oh, there's no weight to it, because immediately after he briefly hugs his family, he sees Wonder Woman and starts like hitting on her in the most cringy, like off-putting way. Like,
well, that's why I want to take it back. That
it was burning my eyeballs.
The last 20 minutes, 30 minutes was good. I really think until he is pronounced dead, is probably and then it went to being bad again. Also thought like they literally just buried him like an hour later. I don't know. It just kind of felt really
But it's like brushed off. Like he's brought back to life, and then it's brushed off because he starts flirting with Wonder Woman, and they're just like, yeah, cool, you're alive now. It's like, it's so bizarre. And the performance there is just like, and the flirting with her is like supposed to be funny. Like, how is this funny? Like, it's just so over the top and so insincere, and just like they had to, and then of course people were making fun of the movie marketing, because the day after the movie came out, I think they started doing TV ads with Wonder Woman in it. And it's like, I had a feeling that this was a late addition to the movie, having Wonder Woman do a cameo, because they were really thinking like, what can we do to get bodies and seats here? I mean, the first one wasn't a smash hit. It did better than people expected, but I don't know what they were thinking. It was really too bad.
There's so much that you can say about this film, but I think high level we've covered it.
Yeah, I mean,
and really like the deeper scenes. But I just think like, honestly, a summary of it is that like, honestly, it was all cringy except for Freddy's character.
Shall we wrap up?
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
And we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Let us know what you thought of Shazam 2.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.